her and making, shoot. I suddenly can't remember what other sourdough videos I've done. Hello, I'm Sydney and welcome back to my Flock and Squawk. I do a little bit of everything and today we are doing focaccia. This started last night and I will insert the footage here of the steps that I went through to get to this point. And so this has risen overnight. It has just about doubled, and so I'm going to shape it onto a cookie sheet so we can get it into shape, let it rise again, and then we can decorate. Now I want to do decorative focaccia. You can leave off the toppings if you don't want it to be so decorative, but when you scroll Pinterest looking at sourdough, you often come across focaccia as an easy option, and then as you go down the rabbit hole of looking at different focaccia recipes, you find these gorgeous decorative focaccias where people use bell pepper and olives and chives and different things as a topping on their focaccia to give it this beautiful wildflower look. Some people do more intricate than others, but today I'm going to do my first attempt at doing one of those beautiful decorative ones. So I have bell pepper, chives, a shallot, olives. I have all these different elements that I'm going to use to make it decorative. But as I said, you can leave those off if you don't want it, you just want plain focaccia. But here is our dough so far. Let's get over to the counter to shape it. Hey!
I started my focaccia by first measuring out 100 grams of my sourdough starter, measuring out my water, honey, my oil, and then in a separate bowl I measured out my flour and my sea salt. Then I mixed up my liquid ingredients a little bit before starting to add the flour. I added it in batches until a dough formed. You might need a little more or a little less flour. You want it to be a little sticky. Once the dough started to really form, I got in with my hands and I kneaded it a bit. Then once it was satisfactory, I let it rest for 10 minutes before kneading it again, and I repeated this a total of 3 times. Then I put it in an oiled container, topped it with a wet tea towel so it wouldn't dry out, and left it to rise overnight. It should be about double, and this is about 12 hours. Now it is 12 hours later when I am shaping my focaccia. So I take out my cookie sheet, put about 60 milliliters of olive oil down, and I put down my dough. I stretch it out and shape it. If it keeps bouncing back and not staying in that shape, or bouncing back too much, just let it sit for about 10-15 minutes and then try again. You should be able to shape it.
So here is our focaccia after all of that work. So I'm going to let it rise in a warm place. The oven is cooled down, but it's still a touch warm from when I was baking earlier. So I'm going to just stick this in for about an hour, and then when we come back, it'll be time to decorate.
While my focaccia is doing its rise, now that it's shaped, I am cutting up my vegetables, such as my bell pepper and my shallot, to put on top, and checking through my fridge to make sure I have everything I want to decorate.
So it's been a little over an hour, and here is what my focaccia is looking like. So it has risen some, and now we are going to decorate it. While it was in the oven, I got some stuff chopped up, and I pulled out some olives and chives to decorate. So here are some of my inspiration photos and what I'm kind of going for. I'm going for floral, and yeah, so I'm gonna pull you in as we decorate. So I cut some of the bell pepper to look kind of like tulips. So I've got that, and then here is some shallot. Then I've got black olives, clamato. I pulled out some sweet peppers. Got Spanish olives with pimento. Then here are my chives. So I think I'm going to first lay out where I want sort of the flowers. I'm going to have this edge be the bottom and all the flowers growing up out of it. So I'm thinking like that. Oh, and while I'm decorating, I should preheat my oven to 425. So I'm just sort of placing them to get an idea of where my flowers go, and then I'll fill in the gaps. So I'm going to bring you in just a touch closer.
Here I am decorating my focaccia. I'm just sort of going at it willy-nilly based off of what I've seen on Pinterest. I'm sure you could really plan it out heavily if you wanted to, but I sort of went with the flow of whatever I was feeling at the time. When you're happy with your design, you can just drizzle a little more olive oil on top and add on a sprinkle of sea salt.
So this is what I have ended up with and decided on. I just did a very light little drizzle of olive oil and salt over top, and once my oven comes to temp, this will go in for 20 to 30-ish minutes, and then I'll check, make sure that it's done, and then I will show you how it bakes up. One of the fun things about this is that you never know exactly how it might actually turn out, because of how the bread might rise while it's baking, or just how things will cook in the oven. So I can't wait to show you the final result and let you know how it turns out. So my focaccia has come out of the oven. It took about 25 minutes this time, and here is what it looks like. I think it turned out really well. I have plenty of ideas for when I make it again in the future for what to decorate it with, but I hope you enjoyed, and I do have several other videos on sourdough, such as sourdough bread in a bread maker, and I also have made sourdough crackers recently. So I'll have those videos linked, and then I'll have the recipe for this focaccia in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more from me, I post every Saturday, and I am doing a challenge in this year where I'm doing 24 things while I'm 24. So if you'd like to catch those, I post them the final Saturday of every month. Recently, I became an ordained minister. So let's cut into the sourdough. See, isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will subscribe and flock and squawk again with me sometime.